Hello, ladies and gentlemen, everyone.
When I suggest we start, considering that we've never had this on the channel and in the AMA chat, I propose we begin, probably with some biography. Oleg will probably start as our founder, and then Alexander will take over as our executive director and as the power lender as I understand it. Oleg, please. Oleg. Come on. Come on, Oleg, you're probably right there, Oleg saw. By the way, understood, then we'll give the sponsor. Hello, yes. It's been a while since we last saw each other. To be honest, I find it a bit easier because several people haven't seen each other. So for many, this will be something new. Let's probably start with a brief introduction about ourselves. I think Oleg will start since he stirred the pot, so to speak. We'll either support him, or, on the contrary, try to sink him.
I actually won't be with you for long. I'll need to step away for a bit, but let's get this thing started. My name is Oleg Zuka. I am the founder of our wonderful pixel building projects in Web3. I've been doing this since I was 21. That's when the idea of Pixel was actually born. It was still called Pixel Swap back then. The idea was to create a gamified DX, a decentralized exchange, and allow people to earn rewards for engaging in traditional DeFi activities, not just what is assigned to us by the smart contract in the form of rewards, but also additional motivation because probably for as long as I can remember, I've been playing games. Back when I was really little, my dad brought a computer home. It must have been around 96 or 97, and I was blown away, diving into all the possible games that were there. And so, playing games my whole life, the possibility of gamification was calling out. We learn our whole lives. Life is understood through the game of our childhood. I wanted what I liked. At that moment, crypto started for me in 2017, and in 2021, when we approached the idea of creating our own gamified. For this, we wanted users to be able to level up, gain experience, unlock additional opportunities, and play games in a mortal way. All together, developing and upgrading their character not just in computer games, like Ultima Online or World of Warcraft. Man, World of Warcraft, yeah. I almost said World of Tanks. By the way, I'd never played that one. There it is, World of Warcraft, but also leveling up your character in this amazing world of decentralized finance. That's when we actually came up with our wonderful pixel triangle. During this time, it has accumulated a variety of emotions, from smiles, dresses, and shotguns. And even then, it resonated with many, and we understood that this purple triangle, this purple chew toy, actually had a future to capture people's hearts. As it turned out, that's exactly what happened. But unfortunately, in 2021, we were unable to launch a full-fledged project. This was due to the fact that we were green and experienced. And despite the fact that we really understood how to add gamification to all of this, how to do it all in a playful manner, we absolutely knew nothing about developing a crypto project. At that time, the DeFi hype was happening, and we really wanted to get in on it, but we couldn't. We couldn't make it happen, and after that, Our life path was all about teaching ourselves how to create our own project that people would like, one that would be interesting not just to invest in and earn from, but also to actually play. I think many of you would agree that we can say we play Pixel Wallet or hellopixel. Tapping definitely doesn't fit here. Mining does. But more often, I hear that users, friends, and family are playing Pixel Wallet. I can add a little about what happened during that period in 2021. I worked on several projects and managed to work with a major. With a Russian bank, we were building GTA in Moscow. I guess you could say it was like GTA in Moscow. I don't know. There was a project related to a space-themed crypto monopoly. I think, by the way, our users will see this project with us in KSEF. The project is called Quasar. Not here. And before the war that is currently happening in the world, I was working on creating GTA in Moscow. This terrible event cut off funding, so to speak, for what we were doing, but miraculously, an opportunity arose to build GTA, not in Moscow, but in Bali. So, at the beginning of 2022, the Bali Queen project was born, which I worked on for quite a long time. For over a year, we worked with the Indonesian government, creating and metaversifying the island of Bali. If anyone is interested, later you can show what we've achieved. There you go. During this time, up until January 24th, a large amount of knowledge, experience, and connections were gained. And let's say part of the team was already formed. And in January 2021, it became clear that, along the way, pixels would be that very moment when you can try again and do something. Plus, there was already a sum of money earned that was at least necessary to take the initial steps. Because the project documentation, anyone who accessed the guidebook saw the documentation has been created all these years. Even Pixel Wars, the one we play, was made back then, around 2021, probably 2020. It started being created in 2020. We finished it in 2021, but traditional mobile games didn't take off. Right now, it seems to me that our pixel is better, described by the current state and the moment when we start over in January, reviving Hello Pixel, the pixel. Boom in Telegram is beginning. We, our team, including Alexander, whom you also see on the screen already, understood that this would turn into a height that needs to be caught. And we probably changed direction in one day and moved away from the web, from the traditional app that we initially intended to have, where you would establish a connection with your MetaMask. We moved to Telegram mini apps and started by building our own wallet again. In the process, to allow users to seamlessly participate in our ecosystem in our gamified DEX. The miner was supposed to serve as a marketing tool, and it did serve as a marketing tool, a way to attract users, because without it, the cash flow wouldn't have been as popular or relevant. In any case, we would have to give some kind of reward to users. Since you invest your time here, we need to give you something in return. And it was decided to start distributing tokens through gamification and mining. Now I will pass the word to Sasha. I just want to add that the miner is not just a miner. The miner is an economic strategy that is gradually becoming a reality. Unfortunately, there is still a lot to be done, and we still need to implement the economic cycle that we have envisioned. Thanks to our entire team, especially Vitaly, our game designer, if you're here. Hi, thanks for being with us. If you want to throw tomatoes because something is difficult, throw them at him. So, that's why I didn't come. Just a little backstory, I guess, about how we got here and why we're doing this. Next, I think during this session we will reveal the true value of our project and why in a couple of years you'll say to yourself, I'm so glad I didn't skip it back then and kept using it. So, it's your turn. I'm going to step away. Guys, I'll be listening and we'll be back with you soon.
All right, Oleg, thank you. Alexander. Yes, thank you. So, Oleg, talk for 12 minutes. So, I'll also briefly tell you about myself. I've been involved in startups for almost my entire life, probably around 15 years, in various fields. In other words, my passion is to launch projects, breathe life into them, and find motivation for the people involved in the project. So, regarding the dates, we've been developing since 2020, and it was commercial development, meaning we were working on some solutions. The project was a game, but it came out towards the end of the market in 2022, so we didn't manage to get it out in time because everyone who could was already pouring into the market. We managed to work on a few grants and won some football related ones. Along the way, we worked in various blockchains and gained quite a broad experience. I became part of it, probably, when I first saw the project, which came out in 2021. This is also a global miner on the Wax blockchain. Initially, it was like this. The guys are still around. Honestly, I haven't checked in there for a while, but they are definitely strong. This is the project that makes the most transactions in the blockchain. They do more than the blockchain itself. They have really pulled everything out. And the blockchain, as it were, is mining everything, and overall, they're doing pretty well, staying afloat. So, I jumped ahead a bit. We've been working in crypto for about 4 years now. And before that, there was about 3 to 4 years of game development. Overall, I've always been close to game dev. I have many acquaintances and friends working in that field. I got into development about 7 years ago for the first time, and it's always been more about copies. Now it's evolved, and I realized that this is my story, and I should have gotten into it earlier, but there was something else. Well, I've shared about myself. If you want to know anything else, just ask right away so we don't jump around. Recently, people were asking about the location of our founders. I wouldn't say he's traveling abroad. He's been living in Asia for a while. I lived in Moscow for most of my time. The team is quite diverse. I mean, we have an international team, so to speak, with all Russian speakers, but not everyone has Russian citizenship. I think that's fair. So, let's start with some old questions that have been forgotten for a while, because there are some guys who joined after the spring. Why St. Bert? Because it's cheap, actually, and from an architectural standpoint, it's not bad. No matter how much people criticize this blockchain, it has performed well compared to others. The main priority was cheap transactions because we initially paid for the first transactions ourselves for users. We had a God bless approach, and we chose based on the principle of being bold. Later on, We were a bit disappointed that this blockchain is indexed because at first we showed 4 metrics for the product, especially since there was a home season, and due to that, we had good metrics that could be indexed. If we had started on a blockchain that is indexed, we would have sold there, and so on with the goods. But everything is ahead. And plus, again, Oleg has a weakness for Flare, and Aston Bird is definitely part of the Flare crowd. So in this case, that played a role too.
Here, we can say there were certain ties to Flare, so there's a desire. Yes, Flare could become the future Solana if the guys do everything right.
Well, this is again not financial advice.
We don't know how it is there yet. We don't know. The player, just like Salbert, is stable. Even Flare is more stable. So the next question is, are we preparing any movements in terms of developing the Flare network? Our pixel depends on a number of factors.
At the moment, we are working towards deploying Flare's architecture, specifically their developments. We are developing on their blockchain. We have separate programmers working on this, and if Flare likes everything, the communication with the blockchain is actually quite complex, probably one of the most difficult we've had to deal with. They are extremely, like, somewhere in their own world. They sit and rarely reach out, even though our metrics look pretty good for their ecosystem. It all depends on their initiative. If they come to meet us, if they like working with us, and if they see potential, then we will definitely develop the network. There are also negotiations for a grant to start, and there are a number of conditions we need to meet for those negotiations to move to the next stage. So we are working in this direction, and as soon as we have updates, we will post them immediately. As soon as something is approved with a blockchain, we post it right away. For example, we made an agreement with Scale, and we immediately posted a teaser, and people already understand the direction the work is going. We actually plan to interact with a large number of blockchains, or rather, we are engaging with many at different stages and phases of negotiations. We are interesting to everyone as a blockchain aggregator because the number of our blockchain mechanics is constantly growing. Transactions are increasing, and the core audience is expanding. People are watching us, and generally reacting positively to this. Accordingly, there will be more blockchains. And yes, I know that many people are tired of claiming. It gets a bit tough when there's more than one blockchain to claim from. We're creating a cool bot, and we are already testing it. I won't give any deadlines because we're doing a lot of things in parallel, so sometimes the internal timelines shift a bit. But the main part of the mechanics is already assembled and is currently being tested on our test server, so claiming will be easier and more comfortable. You'll be able to develop your own little network.
Well, for example, in the first Autobot modem, we hope to see it by the end of November, just to avoid making promises, so as not to rely on anyone.
Well, by the end of November, yes. I think so. It's quite realistic to see that. I would really like it myself, honestly.
Well, I think so too that.
We're not delaying on purpose. Honestly, it's pioneering. Since we're still active in Telegram, questions periodically arise about the Ton blockchain. How can I put it? We will definitely deploy a wallet. We even have a separate specialist for this. From the perspective of our concept, our crypto dependencies don't quite fit. Because it's very expensive, slow, and raw. In the context of the current cycle, we won't be able to allow everything to deploy properly. We wanted to deploy everything on contracts to make them interesting, and we're trying to bring something new. We need to adapt what already exists, and Ton makes this quite challenging. To put it simply, If we're talking about faucets for 20 or 30 cents, who's going to do that? We don't want to create a classic back-end tap because that's not our path. So here's the deal with Tone. And then we have a couple of concepts we'll definitely get to. But for now, it's not a priority, as strange as that sounds. I understand that Tone is the trend of the season, first because a lot of money has been invested in it, and second because they launched a wave of themes and Tone notes. Many have come out, and we all see and understand that. But one way or another, in the current landscape of crypto values, it's still too early for us to really take off with Tone in the current real blockchain environment. However, you have bridging networks, and we will definitely add those. That's for sure. Maybe even this year we'll manage to implement everything. It's just a bridge for money, meaning we'll have a bridge for people who want to develop within our system and bring in funds. Everything can be done seamlessly on a 13 wallet. So we will definitely connect this. It will be a service for people who just hold some banks in Tone. And accordingly, this will be low-cost bridge, meaning it will be within $1. Think not more, maybe even cheaper.
Which network is it from and to which one?
It's from Tone essentially in all the networks we will be working with. So that's the entire EWM. But in the near future, as things make significant progress and developments, we might have, let's say, parallel work with our partners for Med Finance, which is actually working on the bridge architecture. These guys have been working on bridges for 4 years, and they created Nasty, the largest blockchain. In 2020, there were 15 bridges for oil. We are integrating with them, merging, and essentially they will be developing bridges and covering the entire blockchain with them. So Solana and Bitcoin are next in line. Right now, Bitcoin LR2 is developing very successfully. Some stacks are performing very well there. And in general, there's Merlin chain, a lot of Degans on Bitcoin, a lot of money, a lot of Bitcoin. So we'll get to that eventually too.
Well, since we've touched on the networks, EFM, I understand that Polygon will be our first and most widely used for the time being. But I would like to talk about the pressing issue of the Thriftronic blockchain. Yes. Many still don't know what I'm going to say. Many still don't understand what happened.
Well, yes,
Let's say, not all our decisions are clear. I also understand the question about when we'll start with more specific questions like when the listing with Vestronic will happen, if ever. Look, regarding the listing with Vestronic.
if there was confirmed information, we would have posted it. The information between us is also set for Q1. This is what we discussed with the guys. So at the moment, we have shut down mining. We are in negotiations. I don't want to say much for now. We are discussing one listing with them, but this listing is more focused on users in order to balance the situation. We see and understand that the guys have delayed the listing a big product, blockchain, and so on. It happens in the market. We're happy to be here, but we probably can't influence it in any way. So, regarding Vestronic, all balances are recorded. As soon as we have information, we will share it immediately. In other words, TG, you will be able to exchange all your tokens. Plus, of course, we will issue NFTs to everyone, and I think that in the next month, well, not a month, I think in the first half of November, we will publish the final lists of who has what balances, and there were some additional rewards. We will just post all the distribution lists, and users will see what I got there, and so on, and so on, and so on, and so on in the teamer. We will distribute earlier than with the Pastron, that is, we had a kind of internal agreement with them that the T, that is. For the miner, we distribute accordingly in this section, and so on. Yes, so you come to them, claim the token, and we will issue it to you at that moment, along with a chip in your Pixie wallet. But, considering that everything is delayed, we will issue the NFTs earlier. What else? With the Stronic ad.
Question. The main problem arose because when we launched mining on the Vistronic network. To be continued, this highlighted the weak points in the blockchain's operation.
Well, it's not without that. I mean, of course, during our interactions, we identified a number of issues. We totally broke it. Sorry for my Russian no, but that's pretty accurate overall. So let's say that before the hype, no blockchain was experiencing the loads that this trend is bringing. The number of transactions in the network is significantly increasing with this new season. So guys, we kind of rolled back and went to fix things simply, but we're refining the product normally. Honestly, I'm used to this. Blockchains. I don't know, we're coming out on time, fortunately.
Well, for experienced users who have been in crypto for a while, this is normal. But since there's probably another influx of new users in crypto this year due to Telegram and similar platforms, it's probably unfamiliar to them, which is why they have such questions. And probably many remember that the same blockchain demonstrated in laboratory conditions that it is the fastest blockchain. And when various awards were given to TMA projects like Notcoin and Docs, for some reason, the blockchain was, to put it mildly, inactive. So, I think Swisstronic gained a lot of experience thanks to our mining.
Real, not lab-based. Load, and now the guys are actively fixing things and trying to bring it to a state where we can properly show it to the market. Well, I mean, I don't know the internal workings, but from the outside, it all looks like that. We actually took the initiative towards Vistronic and proposed a very interesting option. As I said, for our users, we need to make sure it doesn't turn out like this. I mean, mining was planned for a month or two, but it took longer and more DTE. So, we came up with the initiative that if we agree on this, and if it gets approved, we'll smooth out this whole situation, and it will be a cool and interesting way to earn and spend, depending on what people prefer. But in any case, we're working in the direction of Vistronic. Our relationship with them isn't over. We're still in touch with the team, interacting, and so on.
The window with the whistle penetrates there while we stand. We won't disturb the guys developing the question. About the Flare network, we had NFC together with the Flare X project, the so-called dog token. Many didn't even see the dog token in their inventory after the migration, even those who had it. Here's the question. When will they return the dog token, and will we need it for anything else? Let's remind ourselves what it was needed for.
The dog token was originally intended for our partnership interaction. Accordingly, with the project, we are familiar with the founder. The dog token was intended, let's say, as a bridge for users who have the dog token to incentivize various events, so on the platform. Here, actually, as for how things are with Finn, Oleg will probably explain better. Regarding the dog token, we will return it. Well, it didn't go very well with this dog. During the migration, yes, the dog token slipped a bit and then it got tangled up. He didn't sort things out. With this dog token, we will redistribute it when we migrate the Flare network massively, so it's still waiting for migration since then.
Ideally, if everything goes well, everyone will see the dog token again, as soon as there are any updates about the token distribution for this Project X. Both dog tokens will be distributed. The guy himself will be at the DEF CON conference in Bangkok in about 2 weeks. I'll meet him there and ask him about it because at the very least, he promised everyone a bunch of dog tokens from his project, plus a little flair, if I'm not mistaken. At the moment, you can get dog tokens if you top up the address with a little flair, something like 0.2.
Is it possible? No, it's turned off right now, Oleg. Turned off.
Yes, the FTSO protocol is under development in the Flare network. This is the maintenance of an integrated oracle that pulls prices from exchanges and shows them to users. This FTSO oracle allows for staking, Flare. Inside the Flare network, you can receive rewards. We are working on this protocol on our end to ensure it is integrated into our wallet. At the time of integration and release, we will automatically carry out the migration for everyone, and all who had the dog token will receive it. The dog token was also conceived as a key, so to speak, for various activities. For example, it served as a necessary element for the marketplace test. But later, in the situation that occurred, we pushed it back a bit, but everyone who had the dog token will receive it.
Great in light of the very latest and important news. We will have a very exciting sale event on the Scalebox network on November 1 ST. For those who don't read the news at all, we have some in the project. This morning, I received interesting questions in my personal messages. The person probably doesn't read the channel. Maybe he will see Amy's recording later. And his first question is, why mine in pixel scale? There is the first miner. Now what, do we need to develop two? Well, that's a quite logical question. A very logical question.
I will try to briefly convey the idea of mining to our multi-chain. So the idea of mining, as Oleg mentioned above, develops from an economic strategy where you, roughly speaking, develop your main planet. And once you have developed more or less normally, you actually start conquering the next planets, and so on. But the main source of this conquest is your main planet. Our main planets are actually generated in a semi-random format. That's how it turned out. Now, as for BERT, this is our main network where the main mission of our token lies. It will influence all the networks in which you will develop. In each network, we will try to create a unique collection that will have no analogs in any other network. As we wrote in the news today regarding the Skill Sky collection, it will be multi-chain. So how will this work? Well, we won't discuss that just yet, but we do have the multi-chain concept and we will develop it. Users will be able to transfer NFTs between systems. There will be special NFTs that are better for starting and special NFTs that are better for mining later on. So in the middle of mining, there will be an Autobot that will simply simplify this mining process, making it less routine than it is now and more relaxed and economical. So we will provide the opportunity to simply manage the load on various networks. There will be drones that will mine another coin, but it's not quite a coin. It's also a blockchain token that will serve for crafting. I got a bit ahead of myself. The essence is that as soon as we reach our planned economic cycle, which includes both NFT inflation and NFT deflation, all of this is multi-chain. So those people who are interested, that is the audience we are targeting, will feel as comfortable as possible here to reinvest the money they earn inside. And there will be an opportunity to withdraw this money if the situation requires it. Therefore, we will develop all of this. If we return again to scale, data scale is the network where we are currently placing 1% of the issuance. There will also be partnership programs and additional tokens. The first announced project, Zargates, is quite a strong project. I recommend keeping an eye on them. They have a serious team with large multi-million-dollar products in crypto behind them, so they will distribute part of the issuance of their token with us. Therefore, I understand that we have been talking about this for a long time, but everything is just beginning. It has turned out that our ambitions are quite high and the project is quite large, so it seems that the development is progressing slowly. I have heard such theses from users. In fact, it is progressing quite quickly. Regarding what we are aiming for, we are gradually connecting everything needed for our economic cycle, which will sustain itself, burn NFTs, produce these NFTs, create various artifacts, include new networks, and so on. We are targeting a 5-year development plan here. It doesn't mean that the TGE will be in 5 years. It means that everything we want to include in this the economic system of multi-chain mining is probably planned for about 4 to 5 years. If everything goes well, it will take us about that much time to create this metal worker. I hope I didn't scare anyone just now.
Sergey really wants to ask a question, giving Dima the opportunity. However, I still have a question piled up as an exception. Oh, Sergey, go ahead and ask your question.
The scariest thing is not just a momentary fear, but a lingering feeling that stays with you long after the initial shock has passed.
Well, Sergey says the absolutely scariest thing.
I thought I heard the scariest question, and it seemed like maybe he changed his mind. Let's go back then. Kale, how many box sales are planned in the skill network? In the skill network, 1 box sale is planned, and in the future, there will likely be either a chest or some kind of tool for NFT drops. To be honest, we haven't decided yet which one. If we manage to get the crafting done, it might be crafting, but I can't promise that yet. If we don't manage to get the crafting done, then maybe we'll create a chest, our new recycled one. And with it, users will be able to mine NFTs, trade, and already make some transactions among themselves. Here, I just have to say, guys, we're not trying to cover system with anal donations. What's it called in mobile gaming? Our goal is to create an ecosystem and architecture where users can trade with each other, create gaming values, and spend their time on it. And other users will be able to evaluate this somehow and vote for it with their coins. Well, actually, yes, regarding the sale, there will be 1 box sale, and that's it. This will be a unique collection, our 3rd one, yes, meaning the first collection was the very first pixelated one. The second collection was Web3 Epic, where we introduced upgrade discounts that users didn't appreciate right away. But now the core users have understood the meaning of this story, and it will continue to unfold further.
Yes, in my opinion, the discount modifier will be the rarest and most sought after over time. The further we go, the more in demand it will be, because upgrades are getting more expensive. Sorry, Misha. I'll add a couple of words here about the chest. We are reworking the mechanics of the weekly chest, which people occasionally complain about because they miss the claims themselves. This will be the mechanics of the daily chest, where you will have tasks throughout the day, such as see the news and the like, for completing which you will receive a chest, but the reward inside this chest will depend on your rank. In the achievements in the achievement system, the higher the rank, the higher the reward, the chance of getting a rare reward. Well pumping, we will come back. Although we will immediately be, will there be a system of achievements of what network skin or some achievements for the network did not recognize I face I contribute, such as various different types of numerous potential rewards depending on your specific achievements within the system itself and the network, as well as other factors that may influence the outcome of your efforts in this regard. The achievement system is one. It operates across all networks. Achievements for activity in scales will be available. Jumping ahead, achievements for games are possible, but if they happen, they will be as simple as possible. Play one game, 5, 10, but don't reach the 30th wave or defeat all the bosses.
So that users who play less don't feel intimidated, I'll also add about points. Look, all our modules are created in the first operation, like version 01, so that we can improve and improve with each operation. Our entire system will be covered by activities. I periodically read the chat, actually, even when I don't write there. You know, sometimes I scroll through it in the evening to see what users are talking about when I have time. I've noticed questions like, oh man, I can't complete these achievements. What should I do now? Well, to put it simply, achievements are not designed for everyone to complete. It's impossible for everyone to achieve everything. Only a select few will complete all the achievements. I don't know how many there will be, maybe 50 people. If we're lucky, those who will accomplish everything. Achievements are designed so that every user can find something for themselves. If you don't want to chase records, that's fine. Just dive into mining and earn achievements for that. If you're trading on the market, you're doing great. So trade on the market. Make volumes if you enjoy it. We want to make it versatile and suitable for users with different playstyles. I understand that right now there isn't a lot of content in the system that can keep someone engaged for a whole day. Nevertheless, we strive to fill the ecosystem with interesting content where everyone can find something to do, something that interests them, and complete the achievements that resonate with them the most. I understand that the achievements will be relevant until the TGE.
And when the TGE and listing happen, there's no point in making further additions.
Well, regarding the TGE and achievements. So, achievements, as we mentioned, but we haven't confirmed exactly how they should look, because we haven't finalized it. So, the principle itself. We definitely know that the retro drop will depend on the rank, the number of completed achievements, the content completed, activity, and so on. In other words, we believe we actually thought about this for a long time and saw how other projects do it and so on. And this system seemed to us to be the most fair. In other words, if you complete 100 achievements, you get rewarded for 100 achievements. If you complete 200, you get rewarded for 200. In other words, this is what tests the user, and we will really create a lot of different ones. And every user who, let's say, comes in and says, I don't want to mine, I want to play games. By that time, we will have 2 to 3 games on the platform. He will have the opportunity to earn retro drops just by playing games, which will be based on the achievements he has completed in the games. In other words, we will give him that opportunity. We try to think a bit broader. So, the retro drop will definitely be distributed in parts, meaning we won't release it all at once. If we plan the project for 5 years, the lifetime of the tokens that will be issued means that the last locks based on the economy will only be released after 5 years. So, regarding the retro drop, we will distribute it in parts. Therefore, it's unlikely that achievements will stop working after the TGE. So, the first part of the retro drop will be distributed according to the current status of achievements and the current leaderboard. By the way, soon we will attach achievements to the leaderboard, not just for the city, and people will be able to see the top. Like the top 100 or the top 1000, well, basically the whole top, according to those ranks.
Paul, we will distribute the retro drop in parts according to the allocation.
Well, yes, that is, we will distribute part of it annually, I think once a year, or we will distribute it by allocation. So, how it will be technically, we will decide in the process. It will either be a classic story where you receive a reward monthly, right? Like the block closes and you get a little bit. When the next block closes, you get a little bit, essentially the same as what you see in the miner, right? So the block closes and you receive a reward monthly, which is proportional to the coefficients laid out in the smart contracts. Similarly, the retro drop will be distributed based on a different mechanic, not from your inventory, but rather your activity within the ecosystem. Interesting. As for the distribution itself, roughly speaking, everything promised will be given out, and we will withdraw everything. For now, the volume of receiving retro drops will differ, say, at rank 10 from you. Well, I can't say for sure because, as I mentioned, they will be based on ranks. But how it will be distributed according to those ranks, I won't be the one to calculate that. There will be Vitali, who wisely didn't come to us today because she has a lot of work. He does the math for the project. Therefore, the distribution will be as fair as possible from our perspective, as much as we can technically organize it. So there won't be like, oh, why did I get 20 tokens and this person got 40? Oh, it's because he donated. That's why he got 40. Distribution is activity-based. Some activities need donations, but just don't do them. Well, come on, that's normal, right? If we didn't offer an alternative, people could throw tomatoes at us. What are you doing? Our values, go against the idea that everything you can buy in the game can also be obtained through pixels. We don't have. There are no monetization points that can't be bought with pixels or through some activity that doesn't require financial means. This is a principle we've upheld during these 9 months we've been in the market.
At the time of the public sale or listing, will the miner still be active in the main network? If it will,
Part of the ability to level up. For money, bought a pixel and leveled up. That's a good question, actually. It's very ambiguous from the perspective of perception because on one hand, it's cool, like, yeah, that happened. The token became liquid, users earned. Well, in any case, users will earn whatever they earn, we can't say. Yes, we had a couple of helicopter yards. We told you, so we have about 33,000 online, 734 decided to cash in the dust from the pixel. So we're dividing that among everyone, and that's it. Live happily, buy yourself lamps, and so on. So in any case, of course, users will earn, and some rumors will spread about it. And based on those rumors and metrics, new users will come because that's how it works. Like, guys, I earned there. Let's go. It works. So, mining, of course, we are not stopping. We will constantly be partnering with new products. The Pixel token will receive increased utility. It will be possible to make payments in games, earn external rewards, and in the future, it will be possible to use it in some partner projects, buy chests, and so on. OLAG is breaking through there, I think.
I'll even add a word. I spoke today with some big players in the banking system, and they mined pixels themselves and suggested a way to pay with pixels from a traditional card. So you get yourself a card, receive this physical card, transfer pixels to your account within the app, and pay traditionally with pixels in any.
In other words, you get a card, receive this physical card, transfer pixels to your account within the app, and pay traditionally in any stores or cafes. Just 2 hours ago, I was thinking about a more distant story, but right now, this doesn't surprise anyone anymore. Everyone wants to create cards. Even after the listing, there will still be a reason to keep upgrading drills and storage. Let me try to summarize this. After the listing, money will definitely continue, but how the main miner will be upgraded is still in question. There are several documented concepts on how this can continue. So, possibly part will be paid with pixels, and part will be paid with tokens from other projects. For example, right now we pay 100% with pixels, but later we might pay 30% with pixels and 30% with Gates tokens, for instance. So, part might be paid with the liquid tokens, and we might create a gateway for tokens that haven't gained liquidity yet from other projects. We have options for further development, and we will be monitoring the market and liquidity. If we achieve 100x, paying 100% with pixels for miners will simply be unmanageable for many, and we will limit ourselves as users because of that. So, we will be adapting to the market. We have several concepts that we can apply to mining in the future. Mining will continue, new projects will continue, and new games will continue. We will be listing games. We are engaged in developing both mini games and mid-core games. We have several products on the table that we would like to finish and continue. There are projects that have investments of 200 to 300,000 that we would like to complete in due time and also see on our platform. We have access to interesting gaming products and young teams, so we are constantly networking and looking for cool projects that we can tie into our ecosystem and add utility to the Pixel token, which you will be able to use to operate and buy things. This will only happen with pixels. Plus, we will be adding blockchains and creating various programs for users, trying to secure some grants to distribute to users. All the marketing grants we receive from the blockchain, we take 10% for development and put the rest into a pool for users. This is how it happened with the vesting tokens. We essentially receive the integration at cost, and all the other tokens are distributed to users. However, things didn't go as smoothly as we would have liked, but nonetheless, the intentions were good. So, we will be mining other tokens after the mining ends. Plus, I apologize for the lengthy explanation, but we must not forget that we are miners, and we plan to develop the gamification of mining for a long time. So there will be new interesting gaming modules. Guys, for many of you, well, not everyone, but for many, you won't want to withdraw your money, so to speak, liquidity from the ecosystem, because the miner will be developing. There will be clans, drones, various raids, lands, and so on. We already have all of this planned out. With the development of the product and project, and with the team growing, this development will just get faster and faster, and the mechanics will accelerate and become more interesting.
Well, we've already heard about the claves, and we're just here talking about raids.
I'll elaborate a bit more on Alexander's speech. Here, detailing what this looks like, what it means, and how it will roughly appear in general terms. So, in general, these are concepts, right? Modular raids were planned after guilds, implying that you no longer go for loot alone, like in the case of drones where you send one out and it brings back resources. Here, you enter with a group, and how successfully you go depends on your gear, the clan's leveling, and so on. But essentially, there's nothing overly new here. Anyone who has played browser games or online games can imagine what this might look like. So, something similar will emerge, with a series of new parameters based on which calculations are made when you encounter another group. Depending on your leveling, you might lose loot, gain loot, or lose part of your loot, or even damage your equipment. So on. This is what is planned for late raiding this year. As for when we will have lands, construction, and professions, that's when we will really become an economic strategy game. I don't think that will happen in the next 6 months, even if I'm being optimistic. I think we'll focus on squads for now. We are currently mining tokens in the main network, and we have 4 pockets that provide a boost to the main drill, and the slot drill gives a boost either to the main or secondary miner. When the pixel pool ends, will this boost to the main miner apply to new tokens or not? Or do we have for pockets? Yes, the slot will be occupied in any case. So again, guys, Pixel, keep an eye on it. We will have a Pixel dedicated to mining even after T.G. There will naturally be a recalculation based on our final capitalization. That is when TG happens. Everyone will trade with each other. Some will sell and some will buy. In the end, a market position will form for us, and based on this market position, we will recalculate mining. We will add more pixel pools for people to farm, and for the liquid token, we will measure it against our own. Plus, we will always strive to add tokens, meaning we want to have more tokens than slots so that users can choose whom to mine. Oleg, do you want to add something based on your analytics? No.
I wanted to add about partnership tokens. So besides pixels, we will always strive to establish partnerships and distribute tokens from other projects in a gamified way through our miner, with a focus on Web3 gaming.
So a question then about the scale network. Well, some guys are asking if there will be safety measures, and will it be the same story as with the Swisstronics? They ran out of items, and it's clear that all the builders received items for free randomly, as no one paid for anything. Here I'll explain part of it. As for the Swisstronics, it was not anticipated.
So the Swisstronic was the first test mining to see how this could work, how to connect a new network within a wallet, and not even an EVM network, but one on Cosmos, and to deploy a miner there. So it was a one-time event, it was an agreement. In the case of Scale, no. We planned this network, well, first of all, this network positions itself as a network for games. They have various hubs. We plan to partner with different projects there. In fact, a third project is already approaching, so to speak. We are in negotiations with the third project, and as soon as we approve it, it will be published. So there might also be a third token for distribution, and the Scale network. It comes in, yes, it's actually an American network, and there is a lot of American audience there. If people from the Scale come in, they will onboard and the network will develop. We might even increase the issuance if things go well and people like it. Plus, as we mentioned, we will create a multi-chain Scale collection, so even if pixel mining ends, these NFTs can potentially be transferred to the next network. I'll say more. The Scale collection is designed in such a way that it's better suited for starting mining than the previous two. It's like in Diablo, where you have a network and if anyone knows, they used to carry twinks around. The Scale collection is something similar. It's a twink collection that you'll figure out yourself. Our guys are good with math, so we'll see. By the way, it's nice to see that. Now, back to crafting. The next crafting we'll have is the so-called smart clicker, which tracks noses and information. The main question is where we will get the recipes from. Some people don't understand, and they start participating, but for imagination. How will crafting work?
Crafting will work as the crafting of the smart assembler, or it will be a separate interaction. The crafting of the smart assembler will be a different mechanic, not the crafting we expect. So, what will it be?
Crafting will be introduced in several iterations, that is, crafting is planned that will craft plastic NFTs. Using the so-called pixel dust, which is a resource for crafting, it will be mined specifically in the raids. Of drones. On our roadmap, there are drones that will fly around and gather pixel dust. Accordingly, pixel dust will be needed for crafting, and it may be used to recraft current items. From it, you will be able to craft commons. This relates to the inflation of NFTs. Deflation of NFTs looks like this. The autoclaimer will craft NFTs from the oils. we have in the chat ecosystem according to a recipe. At first, there will be simple recipes, 2 of this, 3 of that, and then there will be a specific recipe. Duck Fan smiled. I think I know what he's talking about here, or Mandarin's there, I don't know. That is, naturally, the collections we release and the images you see are not just for show, they are designed with a vision for the future. And we will strive to constantly increase the utility of NFTs. The utility grew, their numbers increased, and NFTs became more in demand with each new patch. For now, we only have inflation in the form of chests that, accordingly, spawn NFTs. As soon as the Autobot is released, deflation will kick in. These Autobots will be crafted from current NFTs, and the recipes will also be sold for pixels. SGB.
Well, I mean, another sale, then the question.
This sale that awaits us is exactly that sale, according to the roadmap we are waiting for. It turns out to be an unscheduled sale in the neighboring network. Yes, here we can say that when we were developing the concept in the first quarter, we weren't interacting with skill at all. So, the sale can be considered unscheduled, while the Autobot sale is planned. And accordingly, all sales will always be recorded and will cost both in resources, and in the currency of the network where the sale will actually take place.
I understand that the sale will be until the end of the year, according to the schedule, and there's a chance we'll make it, right?
Well, yes, we want to, and we will really try to release the Autobots in November, so people on New Year's are no longer just sitting at pixels. They calmly launched and started collecting. Accordingly, tokens for recipes will be in boxes or something else because some items are being called on the marketplace and they want boxes. No, buy what you can. So, since we started so openly, I don't know, Misha caught me off guard. And now I have to lay out the whole truth. The nearest NFC sales will be, at least in the Songbird network, in the next 4 months, unlikely to happen. There will be sales of recipes, and naturally, there will be a limited quantity. Some of the recipes will be available for SGD. They will be needed to craft Autobots, and will influence the deflation of NFTs in the ecosystem. So we are already transitioning from abundance to what you could call stagnation. It seems that NFTs are likely in short supply.
Just scarcity.
Here, there is a scarcity.
Recipes will likely be if we have scale or Web3 epic, specifically collections. These are the very collections that launch once a quarter. Recipes are more like a section of the store, where there will be a limited number of recipes. I would explain it more like this. So, it's a store where products are supplied in limited quantities, and then they will be obtained through gameplay methods. I don't know, Sasha, if it's okay to say through games.
Well, in any case, we'll mix all this up. With each new entity in the ecosystem, right? A lot is planned, like various boosts that will speed up mining. So a new user comes in and thinks, man, it's tough to catch up, like, and other users crafted boosters and put them on the market, so there was a symbiosis. A new user benefits from an older user, right? Someone who is already, let's say, in the know about the ecosystem, who understands what crafting is and knows how to craft. He crafted a booster for this new user, who bought it and went to catch up with everyone in the ecosystem quickly. There will be users who will play games where unique recipes will drop, which won't drop anywhere else. Yes, and they will, accordingly, be in demand on the marketplace because other users don't want to go into that game and mine the recipe there. In other words, we will try to create a symbiosis based on users' interests, giving people with different play styles the chance to thrive, survive, or perhaps not struggle. Let's have more questions. Go ahead. Say when you have the run out of. Misha dropped out on us. He's quiet. The microphone is muted. Try maybe rejoining. Something's up with the sound. He'll rejoin now. We'll see. Laughter.
Yes, great. Perform telegram. Visible dependent chat. I would like to elaborate on how our deflationary mechanism will work. Detail. Furthermore, we have information in the Gitbook.
Now token.
Yes. How often do new eras come? Eras.
A new era comes. When there is a cutoff in quantity, it is divided in such a way that the final issuance is reduced by almost 7 times, leaving 100 million tokens. Accordingly, the deflationary mechanism is already working. The zero era was before the stress test when we burned 100% of the tokens. Now we burn 50% of the tokens, meaning the deflationary mechanism is essentially already in effect. All those tokens that we have burned already on it, like the tokens have disappeared without a trace, and part of the tokens, the second half, well, in this context, half is now at 50%. Later, this percentage will decrease. The second half of the tokens that are not burned will. And gain liquidity continue to provide. Rewards. The user rewards will go into the ecosystem pool, which will be divided for marketing. User rewards gamified. Rewards developer commissions and to maintain semi-liquidity in the markets. On centralized exchanges and decentralized exchanges.
At the moment, we are practically transferring everything to leaderboards, yes, now with the deduction of there.
Yes, by the way, we will cut the leaderboard soon. Enjoy while you can, enjoy while you can. The leaderboard will soon be cut. Some are performing well, while others not so much, so the reward pool will be redistributed soon. We will likely create something new altogether. Actually, that's not what I wanted to say. We'll get to that later regarding the ecosystem. Thank you. So, in summary, everything you will see in the project, this entire ecosystem pool that will be gathered, will be transparently redistributed. After we create a user-based DAO that will be based on your account age, reputation, and achievements within the ecosystem, part of the pool, meaning the distribution of part of the ecosystem pool, will be fully managed by the users. You will not have access to it. So there will be some mechanism that accordingly users will. Well, it won't be like, oh, that's it, withdraw, or oh, that's it, withdraw. So there will be some mechanism within which users will be able to vote and make decisions on where to redirect part of the funds. So this is a classic management approach where the community manages part of the ecosystem's assets because essentially it produces those assets. So we believe that it's fair in a way to let users manage these assets. Well, it's not quite like that, but a little later. Yes, we really want to, although it's not a priority right now, but we respect it in every way and strive to ensure that everything is built on the principles of DAO.
All right, well, we heard that from the gaming projects. That will be integrated into our ecosystem. We will be receiving some resources, collect various resources, and receive some NFT items. That's right, that's one point. This is regarding the gamification of our wallet. And what about the wallet itself? What utility, what unique or interesting solutions will be used for the wallet as a DEX or for staking? You can even remember if FT staking is possible.
NFT staking is definitely possible. As for the wallet, well, I'll just say that. We've kind of neglected the wallet's functionality. A bit. Well, to be honest, I think that, Users who understand this can see for themselves that the wallet's functionality seems to be a bit lacking. For example, there's no transaction history, which is necessary in a wallet to manage your assets comfortably. At some point in this market hype, we tried to incorporate gamification to engage users, especially those who find it interesting to be with us. However, the wallet's functionality has been a bit lacking, but Oleg, if at any point we can, with high probability, we will allow adding any custom networks within our wallet, just like in MetaMask or Trust Wallet, as well as adding tokens.
But I think that in the next 6 months to a year, we will still focus on the fixed networks we are working with and partnering with in order to at least protect you from potential mistakes or the loss of funds from adding different tokens, as I heard that recently users lost a lot of money on Bemby because there were no restrictions. So, in any case, our wallet will eventually have functionality like MetaMask, but for now, we will focus on gamification, adding partner networks, and grants for the next steps like Postal, Polygon, and Scale.
Right now, it operates in a one-way mode. Will we make it two-way, and when?
We are already in the process of adding it in the reverse direction. I think it's a matter of a few weeks. At the moment, it is still necessary to deposit funds into Scale, I think as soon as in the first. When user requests to withdraw in the reverse direction arise, we will quickly launch everything for that. Some users complained that the bridge fee is a bit high. If Oleg has any chances to reduce it in the coming days before the box sale, is that even possible? Yes, let's think about it. There's a possibility to lower the bridge fee during this sale period, and possibly for Scale as well. It should be understood that the sale of Scale for stars limits us to a 21-day waiting period after receiving the stars in our balance.
35%.
35%. Possibly. Well, in general, more than a third we give away 35% for the withdrawal of these tokens. That's regarding the pricing. People are asking. So, we give away 35%, plus our funds are frozen for 21 days. It's not the most business-friendly approach, that's for sure. We will consider the option of reducing the token price to be as close to the market as possible and offering discounts on the bridge during the sales period to make it comfortable. Give us 1 to 2 days, and we will either release Muse, most likely.
We just facilitate the bridge. Not all of our commission goes to us, of course. So what we collect, we can temporarily set aside that part. We understand that we have users with low banks for whom, roughly speaking, transferring $5 is like their entire bank. So if you lose $2 on the way, like out of 5, that's almost half of your bank. Well, what's the point of all this? There's an understanding that we are partly hostages of the situation because Scale doesn't have its own network yet, and they are currently working in that particular direction. I've been in the market space recently, but at this point in time, they are running through the Ethereum bridge or Polygon. So yes, we'll work in that direction. Thank you. We're in the main network with the second token, James's anime token. There haven't been any updates. Initially, the game was planned for baby, meaning in the browser environment, but to attract more users specifically from Telegram, they are currently in the process of rewriting the game in that specific format. It's almost ready. We just need to adapt it for the machine environment. They are working on that, and as soon as we know the timelines, we'll let you know, and they will inform us right away, as soon as possible. Everything is fine. The guys are working. I can't say anything about the timelines, but it's not like it's going to take forever. They're already getting down to business, so to speak.
If we believe the developers, we should be able to play by November. If we trust the developers from Jade Buddha. By November, you will be able to access it at least in test mode and play through our wallet.
Yes, there was initially a testnet planned for our users, meaning Pixel users will be the first to join. It will be a closed beta test, and they will give users the chance to join earlier and possibly spend their tokens on NFTs, which will then have market value and will be sold for $1. But I didn't say anything.
So, let's return to more general questions regarding marketing. As has been mentioned multiple times, you will soon be launching. We're launching a more powerful marketing campaign, and some guys are wondering when someone bought out the entire marketplace, saying there's nothing to sell, while others say there are no items on the marketplace. The battle of interests, but I think marketing interests many. Fresh blood is gradually coming in, but we would like more. For example, we currently have box sales. Box sales scale up. Handle it.
This money is going towards marketing. We are already negotiating with influencers, so expect an increase in new users by December. We want to prepare and do this comprehensively, not just a little bit, but on a full scale to feel the influx of new users for both us. You, I'm currently talking about the marketplace, sales.
We are working towards being more user-friendly. So if anyone has noticed, well, maybe new accounts have noticed that we created a tutorial. We localized it into Russian. Well, it might not be perfect there, but at least it's something. Plus, as we mentioned, we're reworking the activity chest. It will allow users, new users, to enter the ecosystem more quickly. Plus, we're reworking the starting path up to level 10. Up to 10 drills, this starting path. So new users will level up faster. And this whole complex is basically the production. We want to finish it, polish it up, and then start marketing activities, including from the upcoming sales. We will direct a large portion to marketing and onboarding new users. Also,
One question. December was mentioned. Do we have any plans, maybe some perks, for New Year, Christmas, or the January holidays?
look at us. We're like Santa Claus's in-laws for sure.
Got it. We'll be throwing snowballs around, right?
So when you take it off, it burns up, you remember. So as long as you're doing whatever you want in it, everything's possible. Well, we'll definitely try to have an event for New Year. Honestly, we'll try. Well, some people are already figuring out which NFTs to buy for New Year.
So I'm asking, I don't know what.
Oleg told everything.
I actually have run out of questions because most of them were similar. Even though there are a lot of questions, it's almost the same thing. For now, I'll ask the last question. Maybe the guys can think about it. Maybe from today's. And we all heard, let them prepare a question, raise their hand, and ask. And I have a final question. When is the listing? When is the TGE? Here's that favorite question that different people ask every day. When is the listing? When is the listing? When is the TGE? Those who pay more attention, of course, understand that after the listing, the project will become more interesting and the most exciting part will begin. But for those for whom the listing is more important, I think we owe them an answer. At least some approximate timelines.
The question about the listing is actually a big, complex issue. it depends not only on when we want to do the listing, but also on a number of factors. So at the moment, we are going through acceleration in the Odyssey project. These are pretty cool guys with a lot of expertise. They have serious international advisors who have brought Tier 1 projects to market. So we are currently going through acceleration. Accordingly, we are packaging ourselves, refining the product, identifying the important things needed to successfully raise funds. After that, we will start the fundraising. Regarding funds, warm ones and so on, we will actually go on the fundraising journey, and then, depending on how we go through this path, how quickly and effectively we do it, that will also determine when we plan to list. As we mentioned, the listing is aimed for the first quarter of next year, and from a market perspective, it should be a green February. Everyone in crypto knows that, and we want to be in the green. We would like to go for a green February, but the listing really depends on a number of factors. So if we had a couple of $1 billion, we would have listed in May, for example. Well, in May, meaning last May. Since we don't have helicopter money like Nacoin, which probably came from Pashadurov, we are listing based on our resources and capabilities. So, it's a delicate issue. Plus, it's important to understand that for about 97, maybe 98 to 99% of projects, a listing is death. Everyone is just waiting for the listing. Why is everyone waiting for the listing? Because people farmed the token, spent their time, and they want to make more money and forget about the projects. We understand why this happens. Because the projects that come out are not utility-based. They come out raw. They come out without anything to offer users further to attract those users. Build trust so that users can reinvest these funds instead of withdrawing them. In other words, reinvest in the ecosystem because they like it. It interests them for some reason. So we are working in this direction. We want to keep all our users engaged and maintain liquidity, at least a large part of that liquidity, within the ecosystem, because an ecosystem with liquidity develops better. It has more opportunities. It is more attractive to other users, to investors, accordingly to higher tier projects. So if projects see that there is TVL in the ecosystem, there is turnover funds on the marketplace and so on, then of course this ecosystem is more attractive than some other one that lacks that turnover. But that's just me getting a bit philosophical.
I remembered another question about investing. Many guys are asking when you will lower the entry threshold. As I said, there will be the next stages, and the entry threshold will be lower there. But the next stage after the pre-seed is our seed round, and for the seed, we actually have a high entry threshold for companies, so not many regular folks will get in there. As I understand it, a more realistic chance to invest in a project is during the private round.
Right, Oleg will probably answer this question for those guys. Today, $1,000 here will likely be conducted with one of our partners before the public sale. In general, there will be a sale round where a part of our economy will be allocated and you can get in from $100. Nope. For now, I can't add any details. We are in the process of negotiations because, again, this is related to our fundamental partnerships with major players, attracting funds and waiting for the listing. All such sales usually happen within a short time frame, within a month and a half. Some do it within 2 weeks before the listing so that users can acquire tokens, and it's more likely to sell out. Although we will probably be dealing with serious players, which might make our project different. In traditional cryptocurrency, if you take a project, before every token unlock, the price drops, and people are afraid that large funds will sell off their big purchases. In our case, there is a chance that when funds exit, our users will buy up the tokens because there will be a shortage in the market. And the exit in Panda means the opportunity to buy cheaper for in-game gamified activities like building structures, acquiring land, clan war transportation,
or leveling up the same profession.
So let's move on to something new. Here we have the estimato growers. I'm turning on the microphone. Turn on the microphone and ask your question.
I changed my mind. How they got involved. Good evening. How do you plan to fight against multi-accounts? But in reality, we are building the ecosystem in such a way that at some point we won't have to fight them. So they are slowly. Well, I don't know if there are any multi-accounters here, how many accounts they've managed, how many they started, how many they've pulled off. So we have certain mechanics that are aimed at making multi-accounting significantly less interesting. So we are completely against multi-accounting because we want to build an ecosystem, a full-fledged ecosystem where the user has weight, has an identity, and means something. They have some influence. So having 50 accounts, aside from some financial superiority, is unlikely to bring much else. Therefore, sooner or later, we will release a legal framework. We understand that automation is an important part of our world, and many games resort to automation systems. In mobile gaming, everyone has gotten used to automation. We understand all of this, which is why we are creating a bot. As soon as we make the bot, we will politely ask multi-accounters to ease up a bit. That's how it is. It's not that we're being harsh or anything, but we don't welcome it. Let's say, at the moment, we really don't welcome it.
I'll add here that I think many have already noticed. Section Digital Soul, which says, coming soon. If you've had a chance to check out this section in the Gitbook, then to understand that kind of digital reputation, a digital passport for our user. As our ecosystem grows and expands, the digital passport will carry more and more weight. And it's unlikely that you have many acquaintances with and passports, and given the direction we're heading and the times we live in, this thing will help. Fight against multi-accounting, because even when it comes to the TG token generation event, you will have two ways to get your mine tokens. You can withdraw them in exchange to a CX. We really hope that it will only be X, our partner. There you will be able to withdraw a much larger amount of mine tokens than if you were to transfer them to a decentralized wallet. In other words, with a decentralized wallet, you'll receive a little bit over a long time. On CX, after completing KYC as a new customer, you will be able to claim a significant portion of the token mining during the current period.
In other words, to put it bluntly, we do not intend to withhold tokens even from those users who mined them through multi-accounts, but the speed. Accordingly, we will set the rate of receiving these tokens to a level that will be comfortable so as not to disrupt the order book. Because if users with 200 or 500 accounts come into our ecosystem, how to form a pixel and dump it into the order book at TGE? I mean, come on, guys, we are the developers here.
Regarding the laws, the question is, roughly speaking, until the legal framework is released, we will just be in a holding pattern. Please, after the legal framework comes out, we won't touch anyone for past sins. Right or wrong, guys? We're not exactly hardline radicals. We want to live in harmony. Have some conscience, okay? Let's live in harmony, but keep your conscience. While the others go look for their conscience, I want to give the floor to Edu, one of the main buyers in the marketplace, Subox, and so on. Maybe he will share his plans for the skill network regarding boxes. So, are you ready to ask questions? Hi. We've been snooping around. Anyway. Hello, everyone. So,
The obvious question is there any plan for another token on Sanberti for the second miner? Because right now, those second drills are just sitting there like dead weight and no one wants them.
But for now, yes and no. In short, yes, we plan to, because at the moment we don't have any signed partnerships for the miner in St. Petersburg. But we have a large number of projects we are communicating with, and our goal right now is to enhance our own trustworthiness and value by integrating more projects close to tier 1, so there will be a slight delay, but these projects will definitely happen. I'll even say that at some point you'll have to choose which token to mine, 1, 2, or 3, because you won't be able to mine all 3 together. Since we're talking about the second and third tokens, can we get an idea of when we might see them in the scale network? Maybe there's some more precise information. Thomas Dolia allocated 10 million of their tokens to us, which is just under 0.1%. They have a complex, interesting, and sustainable economy. Because if I'm not mistaken, over 80 or even 85% can only be earned by playing games through, for battle pass and per project. So the free tokens, or relatively free ones, are a very small amount, of which 8% goes to pools and liquidity, and only 1% is allocated for giveaways in such events. We received more than what Roma Pavlovsky, the founder, said, more than 5 times what we got from other projects. So this will be 10 million for the Zor gates, considering what they expect.
By the end of this year, I think the integration will happen in the next few weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, and you'll be able to mine. Roughly speaking, a certain part of our audience will be able to reach level 10 of the drill in city scale, which will be the criterion. For access.
That's right. And the drills, accordingly, will be in chests. By the way, in chests for pixels. I think there won't be any drills in the chest for scale.
So, to sneak a pixel, yeah, it turns out there will be 3 collections. In the boxes for pixels now, 2 old, so to speak, collections that you contribute and a new collection. And in the chests for scale, there's only the new collection, so there are just 2 days left, even less, to accumulate pixels and try your luck.
No, well, you can really accumulate 3 pixels there. And by the way, yeah, I'll add just 2 words here. There were questions in the chat like, man, what's up? There are no pixels. Look, guys, there are currently more than 12,000 unique holders online, already 13,000 in scale. The average online today was about 9,400. So if we understand that 50% of the chests contain a pixel, then roughly you have 10,000 NFTs for 9,400 users. So some people might not get it. I mean, if you give a lot later on, people will say, damn, the info and everyone took it all. If you raise the price, the average player says, damn, I didn't have enough money. That is, this complex moment is multifaceted, and not all aspects of the outcome are visible sometimes. We often ponder over certain things. For weeks, we gather, call each other, calculate, estimate, think about how this will affect the economy, because we understand that there are many networks, and this needs to be intersected with other products. That is, a lot of things on this same concerns the price for 1 pixel, as if now this is the most the most loyal option that will affect almost all users, as if about style went active users the most well, should get into the hands of everyone decides. So, speak, Misha.
I want to say that in percentage terms, compared to daily online activity, a much larger scale has come than what came to Swisstronic at its time. But this shows that the current asset is more active, how to say, probably more.
Well, we have a bark left in Deitberg, which really turned interested.
It seems like they plan to stay here for a while. A small question, yes. While I came up with a new question, I want to ask about the battle pass. We already talked about that we will have it, and what the relationship will be with the Buddha project besides mining. Roughly speaking, playing Buddha, will there be any economic connection with Buddha? Not everyone likes the game. Roughly speaking, like Pixel Wars, not everyone got into it. Those who understand Pixel Wars might not like Buddha, and those who like Buddha might not be able to play Pixel Wars. I can say for myself that I can play both, apparently, but neither will give me a chance. Just a question about battle passes and economics. Look, in any case, in the process of any gaming integration with any project, we always advocate for the possibility of applying the utility of our pixel in this project. That is, to buy boxes for pixels, only for pixels.
Those boxes that are equivalent to liquid boxes, that is, Buddha will most likely have the sale of NFTs, some boxes for $1, $2, $5, $10, I don't know what the price will be. But there will definitely be boxes for pixels that our users will be able to buy. This is the first integration. The second integration, if it goes well, if we see good metrics, we are not Nostradamus either. People will evaluate it themselves. These guys are making a pretty cool game. Whether our audience will like it or not, that's a second question. If it's liked, if there is online activity, there will be demand, and the integration will be deeper. There will be recipes that will influence this topic. There were thoughts to make some of our NFTs as cross-gaming, to try it out here. So we have such a concept of cross-gaming NFTs. So conditionally, your duck owe that duck, so it could not only quack in pixels, but it could also quack somewhere in a game that will come. So it would give something. Enhanced experience. Increased running speed depending on the mechanics of the game itself, additional life, and so on. That is, we are planning all of this, we want it, we believe that this is a top attraction, and so on. Those people who do not want to can buy these boxes, sell these NFTs, exit, and get some cash, whatever that may be. I don't know. It's not 100% dependent on us. We act here as onboarders, integrators, not as founders of a specific product that comes to us. This also needs to be understood.
Another question from Ed. Apparently he hasn't asked everything yet. Ed, please.
Yeah, I wanted to ask about the marketplace, some kind of mass selling. Yeah, the virus. And they took your expensive stuff. 10 investments to different people, let's say, to sell. Well, like, come on, Chon, yeah, we have a lot of them. And I wanted to sell them at one price. Are you planning to do something about this?
I'm setting the task right now to make a mass sale.
Yeah, because when a person has a 4-digit number of items, it's really inconvenient to sell them one by one, and to buy them too.
We'll think about how to make it better and more convenient. I just came across such mechanics where there are a lot of clothes, they need to be recycled processed. We were planning to do this later when crafting arrives, but we see that some guys already have packs with 1000 items, and this is needed now. We'll try to make it work somehow. If it's not super labor intensive for us, we'll try to fit it in. It will be something like chests where you can wrap 5, 10, or 15 items, and on the back, there will be a description of what's inside. I see it as not great, but you can use a regular filter for the marketplace, like selecting the first 10 items and assigning a price to each. We need to think about this, especially for bulk sales, meaning listing them on the marketplace all at once. Did I get that right? For example, you could check off common items and sell them at one price. We need to work in that direction for mass sales.
So you don't have to list them one by one. You choose a price, set it, and they all appear as separate orders on the marketplace. It's easier than wrapping them in boxes and listing them in bulk, like buying one box and 10 more. Yes, I just
Wanted to add that the same theme applies to buying and selling. Someone wants to sell 10 or more, and someone else wants to buy that same amount, which complicates things. I wanted to buy some common items too, but it takes too much time to buy or sell.
Also, there's an achievement for selling, like 5,000, which seems like a lot. There are tasks set for how this will work, but I don't know yet. It will definitely be resolved. It's clear that people want to buy, and everything is heading towards crafting resources that we will gather and process to create something classic or unique. So, we will think about how to improve the marketplace and make it more user-friendly. This means refining the filters so you can click buy all and get the total amount. I've seen mechanics like this in auction games where you can buy 5 or more at a better price. You check the boxes if you're okay with it, and then you just click to take them. Let's not dive too deep. If anyone has questions, feel free to ask since we're already talking about the marketplace. There's probably a question about discounts on items like the elephant, bear, wolf, and goat, which should provide a commission discount on the marketplace. What are the timelines? 28. Sorry, guys, for the confusion. I personally apologize for how things turned out. We messed up a bit with those discounts. It wasn't intentional. And we'll manage the development schedule is really tight, like super tight. But we're going to get this done right now in the chest, meaning this pack, to onboard users, and then we'll dive right into it. Next on the priority list is the market commission.
Is bad. Seems like someone wants to ask something again. Let's give this last question to you, but no one is asking about auto-clickers. Yes, there are a lot of auto-clickers out there. You all know how we're planning to deal with this. Have you come up with anything? Of course, I've heard about it already, but it will be more focused on farms. As for people who just use auto-clickers, they won't need a bot, just an auto-claimer.
We've touched on this issue a bit further down, regarding what we see with multi-accounts and who is clicking. Accordingly, our architecture is evolving in a way that allows us to do analytics. As for how the user clicks, we're now able to identify algorithms. It works really well, and what used to require writing with analytics can now be evaluated more easily. So, first, we politely ask everyone, and we provide game mechanics to enhance the gaming experience through the Autobots that will collect. Those who continue will have a series of mechanics that will drop off a large part. We will place the others on certain lists and monitor them, so to speak, and so on. In other words, let's say the first iteration of what we are doing will equate users with those who resort to automation services. In other words, for users who do not resort to automation, the mechanics we will introduce will, so to speak, provide people with equal opportunities. From there, we will work on making the game fairer and fairer. We could certainly throw around grandiose speeches and say we'll ban everyone, that we know everything and see everything, but no, we are working in this direction, trying to create mechanisms that allow us to identify more and more of such accounts. But since we understand that this might be a fairly routine process of gathering in various networks, naturally we cannot react too harshly to it, because we are also human, we play too, we see the application, we test it ourselves, and we gather it ourselves. For me, it's a bit tough to gather everything on time in the scale. I wanted to jump in, but no, the schedule didn't allow it. Gathering on time in the scale is tough. If there's a cheat, then it's just a hassle. So I gave up and I'm leveling up my storage.
So we've been at it for almost 2 hours now. I suggest the last question be more about DeFi tools that will attract seasoned crypto folks interested in these instruments. We're developing a classic set
bridges, our own DEX, and the ability to provide liquidity for all these tools to earn commissions. Also, just a reminder, all commissions from all DeFi tools will be collected in a reverse pool and then shared among holders. Oh, I forgot to mention the liquidity protocol or the borrowing protocol, the bridge protocol, and the exchange. By the way, the bridge will also be gamified, integrated into our gamification, so there will be a competitive aspect based on volumes. We will return a portion of the bridge commissions to active users who need this bridge for some reason. I know a few people who are moving money through the network, playing a lot of projects that already involve liquid tokens. Actually, this functionality greatly simplifies the work within a single application. Because as a rule, a bridge is something external that you need to connect to for that time.
So, guys, what did you just want to summarize?
Can we answer a question? You have a girl here, raising her hand. Let's go with the girl. There aren't that many girls. She's one of our early users, and she's going to ask a question, and then we'll wrap things up. Angel, go ahead. Angel, you need to turn on the microphone. Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, great. Good evening. At some point, it was mentioned that you would be able to stake both on NFTs, and there should be a special NFT that increases the staking percentage. Can you shed a little light on this topic? What was being discussed? Because staking in the future is of great interest.
Look, we currently have this story in the format of a concept. We have this concept where the animals, if you've seen, we have a hamster in Swisstronic, a monkey in Songbird, and an eagle in Scale. By the way, this is done because they have around 400 BPS on the blockchain for 100 transactions per second, which is similar to Solana, even cooler. They have everything spread out across hubs, so there isn't a single center, but that's not the point. Here, we plan to stake the animals. I won't say that the marketing animals will stand out. You can decide for yourselves whether they will stake or not. However, each network will eventually start rewarding with the animal token that represents that specific network. How will this work?
Well, again, we have a few concepts, but we haven't decided how it will be in the final version yet, so I wouldn't say much. But basically, it won't take super long. So as soon as we nail down the staking protocol for Flare SGB, I think everything will move along much faster from there. It will be much easier to tie everything to that architecture.
After 2 hours of chatting, I suggest we wrap it up. Before Oleg summarizes, I'd like to ask the guys if we could hold another session right after the new year during the January holidays, maybe the first or second week, to go over some small results here. It seems like we should do this more often to share and connect with our beloved users. Because thank you, without you, none of this would be possible.
You are our motivation. Your reactions, even the negative ones sometimes, drive us to keep moving forward and developing. And what I wanted to say is, let's say a little further than where we are now, so you understand. A global mission. The global mission of hellopixel is to develop and explore fully immersive virtual reality technologies. We all come from gamification. We all love the RPG genre. Movies like Ready Player One inspire us, and we truly hope that in our lifetime, this becomes a reality, where we can dive into capsules or wear virtual reality headsets and experience everything like in the sci-fi films. So we have plans in the future for the hellopixel project to allocate grants for the development of immersive technology, fully immersive virtual reality. And all of this will also have utilitarian functions so that when humanity eventually becomes an interplanetary civilization, during the moment of traveling between planets, a person can, while immersed in virtual reality, study the professions they will need for colonizing new planets. So we are definitely looking towards that direction. This is probably the very reason why we indeed want our company to have a huge financial resource, so we can make films like Ready Player One a reality. Thank you all.
Yes, thank you all. We are ending the broadcast. We hope to meet more often and bring joy to us. Thank you all, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye. Thank you.